Good evening. I'm going to talk about Alex and Me, how a scientist and a parrot discovered a hidden world of animal intelligence and formed a deep bond in the process. This book is by Irene Pepperberg. Also, my cat has decided to join me this evening. As usual, I will not be providing a content summary of the book. If you have already read the book, you already know. If you have not read the book but would like to, I don't want to ruin it for you. If you have not read the book and have no plans to read the book, there's no point in reading a summary. Instead, I'm providing a few of my own thoughts about reading the book. I have the first edition hardcover from 2008, published by MJF Books. This book was a gift because back in 2008 I had a bird too, a cockatiel named Mo. I wasn't officially researching or training him, but I did spend a lot of time with him, challenging him in various ways so as to avoid the problems of boredom in intelligent animals and other people, which Pepperberg notes in her book. She also campaigns against leaving intelligent animals alone for large chunks of the day, and she's absolutely right to do so. Most people should not keep birds precisely because birds' needs are so extensive and so close to, yet wildly different from, what humans need, but without the thumbs needed to go get what they want out of the refrigerator. Before I got to the book, however, Mo died, suddenly and without effective veterinary help, and long before he should have, given the usual life expectancy of cockatiels. Although I picked up the book several times over the years, I was never able to get through the book because Alex's story was too similar to Mo's, and it's hard to read when my vision is blurry from tears. I did cry during this reading, but I managed to get through it. Pepperberg does an excellent job of interweaving the difficulties of doing research on animal intelligence. Some of those difficulties are common to any kind of research, including personal problems, interpersonal problems, funding provisions and withdrawals, finding appropriate places to live and work, finding time to do the work of living, teaching, writing, and researching, and dealing with a general cultural, academic, and Aristotelian bias against animal intelligence. Aristotle developed the great chain of being for Western philosophy. It exists in other forms and religions that take reincarnation to be what happens after people die. Basically, there are gods, then humans, then various animals, then plants, then minerals, based on presumed levels of mind. For Aristotle, animals are animate, but they do not have mind. That idea has lasted for millennia, and only recently, thanks in part to Alex and Pepperberg, has that idea been seriously and scientifically challenged, despite the fact that anyone who works with animals knows that there is more going on for them with regard to intelligence and thinking than has been acknowledged by the cultural, scientific, and religious institutions that have made claims about animals. This is the major contribution of this book, to show in non-technical terms how animals share in a general mind. Animals are very different, of course. Being able to fly, crack nuts with a beak, and preen feathers set birds up with a different perspective on the world. But the mind is there, and the only trick is to figure out how to access that mind. Unfortunately, research on animal intelligence continues to rely on the animals doing most of the work to accommodate human ways of thinking and doing, rather than humans doing the work to accommodate animal intelligence. This is where I think my approach with Mo was superior. I did not attempt to train him. I observed him in the various environments we shared. If it seemed like he was moving in a certain direction, I and a friend of mine would set up challenges for him. We did not train him to approach those challenges. If Mo was interested, he engaged. If he was not, he did not. Some things we set up for him were not interesting. He had no interest in pushing a ball toward a goal, for example, despite the fact that he liked to push objects off shelves. He seemed to prefer the resistance of a can of vegetables over the ease of a ball. Okay, here are cans of vegetables of various sizes. He learned quickly to distinguish sizes of cans, did not attempt to push cans that were too big for him to push. This is one example of Mo learning a characteristic, not just a label. He knew colors and selected preferred colors from his cereal mix and played with different patterns of colors for various days or meals. At the time that he died, he was working on a 4-step problem solving. Do A in order to set up B, do B in order to set up C, do C in order to set up D, and then do D. He was having trouble with the last step in the process, but he was working on it. He knew what was required, but it required a certain amount of coordination that he was having trouble maintaining. I should note that most humans cannot solve a four-step problem. They can do four-step processes when the process is taught to them, usually with repetition. Humans have to be trained. Put the foot on the brake, insert the key in the ignition, turn the key, shift the car into gear. People do that kind of thing all the time. But if we parked a car near a human and left a key available, how long do you think it would take the average person to figure out how to start the car? How long do you think it would take the average person, in the absence of an environment in which cars are driven, to figure out that it's possible to drive a car? That's essentially what Mo was doing. He was living in various apartments and trailers with me, not in his native forests of Australia. There was no context that he might have recognized instinctively or from prior experience. Mo and James and I worked together toward finding ways for Mo to be cognitively entertained and intellectually challenged. It was a different approach to working with animal intelligence. Maybe someday humans taking steps toward animals, rather than demanding that animals do the heavy lifting to work with humans, will be a more accepted research approach. One of these days I'll get around to writing more specifically about Mo. I need to find his pictures and sort them and organize the information I'd like to include. Pepperberg already did that for Alex in the Alex studies, her more technical description of her work with Alex. Pepperberg's Alex and me did exactly what a book should do. Made me think about the ideas in the book that I read and made me want to learn more.